Hey, so it's pretty late at night. I filmed a tutorial earlier today that I wanted to get up and I realized I just jumped right into it. No intro. So here I am post editing telling you what the heck I was doing. So I was talking about yesterday on my FlossTube video that I want to figure out how to store my fabric stash for cross stitch. So I kind of modified my technique or some idea. I modified some others' ideas to really fit my space, and I think that was the key. I have drawers from Ikea. They're the Alex drawers actually, so if you have those, this might work. The solution might work for you. But I just had to modify. The idea is not new. But modifying it to kind of make it work for those drawers and just showing you how I decided to do it and organized it, giving you a little sneak peek into my stash is what you'll see. So I hope that this is helpful for you, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so in the spirit of keeping it real, this is all of the things that I need to find new space for. So sorry about the mess. I'm super excited. I mentioned in my FlossTube last night that getting my shipment of Cedar River linen has really motivated me to get my my cross-stitch fabric out of the plastic bags I've been storing them in, and into a better system. So this is how I've been storing them currently, as before today. So I had this drawer here. It was actually that one, the third one. And so I had them folded, and then the bags kind of helped keep them compact, which I realize is probably not the best thing from like an air ventilation and also like being super tight. So my drawer was pretty full. I don't think I would have fit what I needed to fit into the drawer, and so I knew I needed a better system. I use these, I don't remember who I learned this from, but I had been looking for some better fabric storage systems with all of my quilting fabric. Primarily it's my cottons that I use these comic book boards for. And so I was watching Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch last night. She was organizing her fabric, and she had these like really cute clear plastic bins, but I don't really have a place like shelf space. I love the idea of having these in drawers because I feel like they get a little bit less dust when they're in drawers. They're protected from the sunlight. So I decided not to get the bins and to use what I had. So I had these comic board books, but as you can see, like these drawers like are not the best. And so what I've seen other people do is they cut the comic book boards in half like this way, so they're almost like index card size, but that wasn't going to work really well for the size of my drawer to like get 2 rows. And then if I set up 2 rows, like how do I keep them straight in the middle with all these cards staggered? It was like a whole thought process. So then on a whim, I measured my drawer, and then I thought about like what the diameter, like what the measurements would be if I cut one of these boards in half. So I did that using my like scrapbook paper cutter thing, whatever that thing is called. I'll show you that in a second. And I tried it out, and I had some pretty good results. So so again, like I'm almost all the way through. I don't even know after like 16 months how I have so much cross stitch fabric. I mean I do, but like how? Anyways, okay. So probably more cross stitch fabric than I could ever use in my lifetime, and I'm not that old. So okay, so here's my primarily what I use is 36, 40, and 46. So here is my drawer of 36 into 40 into 46 way back here. So these drawers are kind of hard, like they're deeper than what the drawers actually come out. So I just have some of these like clear bins here just to kind of help hold up the fabric because I don't want it to go all the way back where I can't see it. And then in here I put in the clear bin, I put the little tiny pieces that are too small. Like these would be like maybe an ornament cut or something. So here's an example of that. And then when I didn't have the label anymore, because maybe I have like part of a cut that still makes sense to put on the roll, then I just used a little piece of index card that I cut to label them. So I still know what they are, but then they can just sneak back in here and I can pull those out when I need them. So yeah, let me show you the rest here. Second drawer, so far I have them. So I do think about size and count when I organize my fabric. So they're organized by color, by size. So I've got Ada here in the front, 18s, and then I have one piece of 20 count, vintage country mocha, and then moving into 28 count, 32 is what I've started on, and we'll go behind. And then I just have this box of the magnifiers I bought on Amazon that I've never used, but there was a point where I thought I would have them. I'm kind of glad I have them scrolled away in case I need them, but that's going to be like my stabilization in the back of this drawer for like, so I can still see what fabric I have. So I've got all of this 32 count left to package or to wrap, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so not rocket science here. I'm kind of makeshift working at my desk here. So once I figured out the measurement, so these boards, they are, I think they're 5.75, no, 6.75, ooh, focus, 6.75 inches wide. And so what I did is I figured out that 3 and 7/8, is that 7/8? No, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, it is. Okay, no, hold on. Counting is hard and I'm working backwards. So I'm at 3 and 4/8, 5/8. Oh, because I'm counting 16ths and not 8s. Yeah. Goodness gracious. So it is 7/8. No. Okay. So if you look at the measurements here, I am at 3.5, and then I'm going over 1 more 1/8. So that would be 5/8. That is exactly half for the board. And so what I like to do when I'm working on something like this, where I'm doing like the same cut over and over, is I just take a pencil and draw like a line there, just shade it in a little bit, so I just have a little bit clearer of a line to help me make sure that I'm doing the same cut over and over in the right place, because I can tend to get distracted and then struggle with getting them the right cut. So I'm going to cut this. I don't have a way to hold the camera, so I'll show you once I have it cut. All right, so I cut this piece. Your mileage may vary with your cutter. I can probably guarantee you that this blade that I have on my Fisker's cutter is pretty old, and this is fairly thick, like thicker than cardstock. It's almost like a little thicker than poster board, I would say. And so it doesn't always cut great. I usually do up and then down, and then most of the time, if I fold it, it will break for me. I've had a few that I've had to just kind of encourage to tear. And then you've got 2 pieces from one board that you can use to wrap your fabric. So I'll show you that next. Okay, this is going to be fun, but we're going to figure it out. So I have some Lugana here, 32 count Zoigert Platinum. I don't remember. This is like the handwritten card from whoever I ordered it for like last spring. This was like one of my first big fabric purchases as a new stitcher. It's a pretty big cut. As you can see, I think it was 24 by 36. So hold on, beep. Sorry. Okay. So I have noticed, like for like a fat quarter cut, if I unfold the fabric and fold it in halves along the bias, so the biases touch, that has been a really good distance, because the goal is to get it pretty close to the edges of the card, so that you have less fabric in your wraps. If that makes sense, you're spreading your fabric across the card as much as possible, but it's not an exact science. I'm not wrapping everyone exactly the same. And then you want to fold your fabric over. How much you leave here is a little bit of an art. and then you just keep folding, and I'll show you the end here in a second. Okay, so every piece of fabric, every wrap is going to be a little bit different. This one, on the first wrap, it worked out. What I want is for the ends to kind of land somewhere on one side. So if it's like up towards the top or super close to the top, or the bottom's less of a struggle. It can be hard to pin. What I want is when it sits in the drawer, I'm going to see the fabric from this angle. So I want a pretty nice clean line here so I can get a good view of the color of the fabric and what I have. After having wrapped quite a bit of fabric, I've learned, especially if I'm using like with my Bestitch Me cards, those are like more like business card labels. They're pretty hard to pin once I've pinned the fabric flat. So I've been trying to remember to like support it, kind of get it where I want, unwrap that last half a wrap or so. And then I will pin the card here while I kind of have the back and a little bit of more, you know, leverage to get that pin through this layer of fabric. And so I'll do that quick. Okay, so now that I have gotten that pinned on the front, because I know that's the front because I want the fabric edge to be pointed down so that when I'm putting things in and out, like I'm not, if it was this way and I was going to take a fabric out and put it back in next to it, it's going to catch on this edge even after I pin the edges. So this is how I want it to go into the drawer with the excess, the end of the fabric going down. So I'm going to lay this down and I'm going to put a pin. I have these just straight pins, nothing fancy, from Amazon. I'm going to put a pin in on each side and it'll be ready to go. All right, so I've got my pins in on this side. I have noticed for like some bulkier fabric that maybe it just kind of depends, doesn't want to stay. I have put an extra pin kind of in the middle. Some of these, again, wrap a little neater than others. It's kind of how the fabric was already folded and kind of how you've had to undo it. I've noticed it depends. Some wraps are better than others. So yeah, but I think for the most part, this one looks pretty good. I have been careful to use, so like people who have sent these cards to me, I've noticed they mostly write with ballpoint, which I think is the best, less likely to run. I have been using my friction pen if I've needed to take notes, because I know at the end of the day, if it does get on something, I'm pretty safe to at least put some heat on it to get rid of it. So that's been kind of my tactic. I'm not too worried about that drawer getting hot to the point that it wouldn't, that I would lose the information, but that's just something to think about, is like, you know, what you're exposing your fabric to, like being next to each other. So, I've got some more wrapping to do and I'll show you my final results here. I think I might need to not be in a fabric club anymore. I maybe need to take a break. Okay, so I'm all done. Here are my Ada's 28 and giant stash of 32 count. When I first started stitching, that was my sweet spot for a while. So there's that drawer. One more time, my 36, 40, and 46. And then I have a few extras that I cut right away. I'm going to stick them right here in the front. And then I have those ready to go right away when I get new fabric, so I don't put off because I have to go source the paper cutter and getting the boards cut and all those kinds of things. I have a few handy and ready to go. All right, I'm super excited about how organized these are and easily I can see what I have. All right, so that's my tutorial. I hope that you got something out of it, at least an idea for something that you might do, or a modification, right, that like works for your space. Yeah, I don't think I have much else. I hope you have a good night and I will see you soon. Bye.